We want to have a look at factorizing what's called the difference of two cubes. So a difference of two cubes, well, we know what a difference is. It's just when we're subtracting. And a difference of two cubes is when we're subtracting one thing cubed from something else cubed. So for example, x cubed minus y cubed. So it'll look something like this. We've got our first thing cubed minus our second thing cubed. So in order to factorize that, we can just use this formula over here. So the first cubed minus the second cubed is the first minus the second. So in our case over here, our first is x, and let's put that in brackets just so we're sure. And our second is y. So our first thing is x, second thing is y. So in order to factorize, it's just the first minus the second. So x minus y multiplied by, if you look over here, it's the first squared. So the first thing squared is x squared plus the first multiplied by the second. So we were going to multiply x by y, so we get xy. Plus the second thing squared, so plus y all to be squared. So let's have a look at another example. So say we have this one. We want to factorize x cubed minus 216. So it is a difference of two cubes. Well, 216, you got to recognize that number as being 6 cubed. So another way to write that is x cubed minus 6 cubed. And now we have got the difference of two cubes because we have a difference and it's one thing cubed minus another thing cubed. So let's put the first and second in brackets just to be sure we know what they are. And now all we have to do is follow this. It's just going to be the first minus the second. So the first is x, the second is 6. So x minus 6 multiplied by, it's the first squared. So x squared plus the first times the second. So I'm going to multiply x by 6. So I just get 6x. So plus 6x. That just means 6 multiplied by x. Plus the second all to be squared. So plus the second in this case is 6. So plus 6 squared. And I can go a little bit further because 6 squared is 36. So I could rewrite that as x minus 6 multiplied by x squared plus 6x plus 36. So I factorized. I've written this. We started off at x cubed minus 216, which is the same as x cubed minus 6 cubed. So we have the difference of two cubes, and I factorized it. I've written it as a product. This multiplied by this. Let's have a look at another one. So say we had 8x cubed minus 8x cubed minus 27y cubed. Okay, so the first thing we got to notice is that 8 is the same as 2 cubed. And 27 is the same as 3 cubed. So I could rewrite this as 2x, start again. I could rewrite this, 8 is 2 cubed, so that's 2 cubed x cubed, minus, and 27 is 3 cubed, so that's 3 cubed y cubed. And rather than write the cube twice, I can put them in brackets. I can rewrite that as 2x all to be cubed minus, and I can put this in brackets, 3y all to be cubed. So now I have got the difference of two cubes because I've got the first, which is 2x, and the second, which is 3y. So I just have to fill it into this here to factorize it. So it's just going to be the first minus the second. So 2x minus 3y multiplied by, and it's the first squared. So just to square the first, let's just do it down here. The first is 2x. So to square that, it's going to be 2x times 2x. This is the first squared. So 2 by 2 gives me 4, and x by x gives me x squared. So the first squared is 4x squared. Plus the first multiplied by the second. So the first is 2x. I'll just do it down here. And I'm going to multiply that by the second, which is 3y. So 2 by 3 gives me 6, and x by y gives me xy. So plus the first by the second, so plus 6xy, plus the second all to be squared. So the second, in our case, is 3y. So I have 3y all to be squared would be 3y times 3y. 3 by 3 gives me 9. Y by y gives me y squared. So plus 9y squared. So I factorized. I started off with this up here. I realized that 8 is the same as 2 cubed and 27 is the same as 3 cubed. So I can rewrite that as 2x all to be cubed minus 3y all to be cubed. So the first is 2x, the second is 3y, and then I just fill it into this formula here. So what about if we have, rather than the difference of two cubes, let's say we have the sum of two cubes. Let's have a look at this. So we've got something cubed. It's very similar, except this time it's a sum. we've got something cubed plus something else cubed. So it's like the first cubed plus the second cubed. And in order to factorize that, I just use this formula over here. It's the first plus the second multiplied by the first squared minus the first times the second plus this, plus the second squared. So in this one over here, so again, look at it, we've got the sum of two cubes. It's x cubed plus y cubed. So our first is x, let's put that in brackets just so we can be sure that that's the first, and our second is y, so I'll put that in brackets as well. So it's just going to be the first plus the second, so x plus y, multiplied by the first squared, so x squared, minus the first times the second, so minus x times y, plus the second squared, so plus y squared. So let's have a look at an example here. So we've got 8x cubed plus 125. Well, 8 is the same as 2 cubed, so I'm going to rewrite this as 2 cubed x cubed, because 8 is 2 cubed. And then 125, we've got to remember, is 5 cubed. 5 by 5 by 5 gives me 120, so 5. So that's 5 cubed. So now this over here, well, we have got the sum of 2 cubes now, but I'm going to take this bit and I'm just going to put the 2x in brackets, and I'm just going to write the cubed outside. So I take the 2 and the x, just put it in brackets and just write the cubed once, and then I have plus 5 cubed. So now we have our first is 2x first cubed, so 2x all to be cubed, and our second is 5, so I'll put that in brackets. And now I just fill into this. So it's just going to be the first plus the second. So 2x plus 5 multiplied by, it's our first squared, so it's going to be 2x all to be squared. So 2x squared means 2x by 2x, so I'll do it over here. So 2x by 2x, which is, well, 2 by 2 gives 4, x by x is x squared. So our first squared is 4x squared, so 4x squared minus, so the only difference between the difference of two cubes and the sum of two cubes is that this is a minus, and then this one here is a plus. So we've got minus the first by the second, so minus first by second. So our first is 2x, so our first is 2x, and our second is 5, so it's going to be 2x by 5, which is 10x. So minus 10x, that's our first by our second, plus the second squared. So the second is 5, so it's going to be plus 5 all to be squared. And 5 squared we know is 25, so I could rewrite that as 2x plus 5 multiplied by, and I have 4x squared minus 10x plus 25. And that's it. That's the sum of two cubes.